Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So I have a bit of a different video for you guys today. I thought I would share with you my scoliosis surgery story. And I remember before I had the surgery, I watched so many videos like this because I was terrified. And so I just want to share my story with you. And if you have scoliosis, if you don't, you're just watching this, I hope that you find this video helpful or at least fun to watch. So let's get into it. Okay, so I guess I'll just start with how I was even diagnosed with scoliosis. So I was in second grade, I believe, and I went in for my yearly checkup with my pediatrician. And I had a different doctor than I usually did, and his routine was to check for scoliosis. And you do that by bending over, and then usually if someone has scoliosis, they'll have this like hump somewhere on their back, which is from the curving of the spine. And with scoliosis, it doesn't just like curve, it also twists, hence the like hump you can see. And so during that visit, they noticed a hump, and so I was sent to a spinal specialist, and I had an x-ray done. Lo and behold, I had scoliosis. I think it was about 10 degrees at the time for both of my curves. So I have the S curve. There's different types of curves. Mine was an S curve, so my spine was kind of like that pretty much. So every 6 months, I want to say, from second grade until I had the surgery, so like sophomore year in high school, I had x-rays, and I really hated it. It was really embarrassing for me, and it shouldn't have been, but I didn't have the best doctor. He was kind of cold and didn't make the nicest comments, about me and about my back, and so it was something I really dreaded doing, and I hated going. And so over the years, my curve continued to progress, and so they tried brace treatment when I was in 7th and 8th grade. And I refused to wear a brace during the day. Maybe I would have had a different outcome with the brace if I had done that, but that wasn't an option for me. So I wore the brace from after school until at night, and then they switched my brace, and then it was just like a nighttime brace. I don't remember what they were called, but there's different types of braces, and for me it didn't work, and I'll get into why in a second. But during that time I was also in my eating disorder, so I feel like that's an important part of this story, and I think my scoliosis journey kind of definitely played a role with my eating disorder. So I was already starting to get sick, and then I was given a brace, and the brace is this really hard piece of plastic that you tighten kind of like a corset and you wear it. And so if you eat anything, it is so painful to wear if you've eaten like at all that day. So that gave me an excuse not to eat even more, and people didn't really care because I had to wear this brace. And I remember it would dig into my hip bone because I was so skinny, and you had to tighten it so much that my hip bones would be bruised. I would try like putting padding under my hips, and it was so painful. And I told my doctor this, and he basically said that it's a good thing I was super skinny because it meant that my brace would be more effective. Whether or not that's true or not, I got a new doctor eventually, but yeah, I did not have the best experience with that doctor. And so back to the brace not working, usually when you are fitted with a brace and they make the brace for you, they do an x-ray to make sure that the points trying to push your spine straight are hitting the right apex. So if the curve is this way, you want a point right here to kind of straighten it. Same if like it's pointing this way, you want a curve to do that. I hope that looked right. But basically, you want to x-ray, make sure that those points are in the right position, and my doctor did not do that. We did not know that that was, routine and what you were supposed to do. So I had a brace for 2 years that no one x-rayed me in. And finally, the specialist that actually made the brace, who was different than the doctor that prescribed it, said, "Did the doctor ever, x-ray in the brace?" And we're like, "No." So that's when we switched doctors, got an x-ray in the brace, and learned that the points pushing in were like opposite. So if the curve was going this way, the brace was pushing it more this way, basically. So it wouldn't have helped if I wore it more because the points were at the wrong position. And I don't think it made it worse necessarily. I just think I was one of those people that progressed even in a brace. So then when I entered high school, we had to wear these uniforms, and I knew I was not gonna wear a full-time brace still, and I was done wearing it at night. I said, honestly, I just want the surgery. My lung capacity was really decreased because of how curved my spine was and twisted, and so that wasn't comfortable. I was gaining weight from recovery, so my brace was even more uncomfortable, and it was just a whole mess. And so basically, when I switched doctors at this point, I needed to progress a few more degrees to qualify for surgery. And so basically we just waited until I progressed, and I think it was after freshman year we were able to schedule my surgery, and then I had my surgery the summer after sophomore year. And so I was excited to have a straight back. That was one of my insecurities for a very long time because I thought it looked so bad. One side of, my waistline was straight from being kind of curved, and then the other side was like really cutting in, and it was a self, insecurity of mine. And so I was excited to get that done, but I was also scared. And so during that time, it's during my sophomore year of high school leading up to the surgery. And so it was a new school for me. I was dealing with a lot mentally, recovering from my eating disorder. And I don't think, a lot of people knew that because I looked normal. But that was a huge struggle for me. And then I started passing out. And no one really knew why I was passing out. And it was scary because I would just kind of fall over and be out for quite a bit, actually. I didn't just wake up, and so it was scary, and my doctors and the specialists, they could not figure out what was wrong. And unfortunately my school didn't take that very well either. They considered me a fall risk, and they were very rude about it. Basically they made me be in a wheelchair, which was humiliating. And for someone that doesn't need to be in a wheelchair, my doctors were outraged. It's not, you don't want someone to sit all day and literally not use their legs when they should be walking. I still kept passing out, and I was going to physical therapy for my back pain. So my curve wasn't just looking weird, it was painful. And walking for extended periods of time was painful. It just wasn't something that, felt great to have your spine all messed up. And so my physical therapist was working on my flexibility, because if you're more flexible, you'll get a better curve adjustment or whatever once you have the surgery. So we're doing that. He's always, hearing about my passing out stories, and he's trying to connect the dots and help us figure it out. And so he said, let me look at your x-rays. So he looks at the x-rays, and he's like, that's weird. One of these points where your vertebrae are curving looks like it could be compressing one of your spinal nerves. And we're like, that's weird. He said, when have you taken note of when you pass out? And so we actually had a very detailed log, and it turned out that after every time I worked out and did sprint sessions, about the next day I would pass out. And so we told him this, and he said, I bet it's the sprinting that causes this nerve to get compressed just enough that you pass out. And so we took this, hypothesis to my doctor, and he confirmed it, and I was diagnosed with another diagnosis, I guess, with vasovagal syncope. And it's a big word, it's kind of fun to say, but it basically means you pass out to certain triggers, which isn't that helpful, but there's things we can do about it. And it's actually pretty common too. So obviously one of my triggers was a pinched spinal nerve. So whenever that nerve would get pinched, it would just trigger that whole vasovagal response, and I would pass out. And then other triggers that are really common are needles. Dehydration is another one. So my doctor, this is another part of the story, my doctor recommended that I drink at least 3 liters of water a day. And that's a good chunk of water, especially for someone that wasn't drinking nearly enough. So I started drinking enough water to try to help prevent passing out, because no one likes passing out. It's not fun, it's embarrassing, whatever. I started drinking more water. And when you drink more water, you kind of have to go to the bathroom more. And so at school, I would have to go to the bathroom a lot. And, at this point, I stopped being in the wheelchair due to my doctors, recommending that that's not okay, and actually, saying, stop doing this, this isn't good for you, which I gladly took because I did not want to be in a wheelchair anymore. And I was drinking all this water. I had to go to the bathroom more, and basically the faculty at my school, especially the principal, was very rude about this, and basically told me that it was, quote, farcical to believe that I would have to go to the bathroom an hour after lunch. So I drank all this water. I went to the bathroom after lunch like everyone else does. An hour later, yeah, I'm gonna have to go to the bathroom again. I was dealing with that. I was dealing with, having this scoliosis surgery coming up, being scared for that, and also a mental recovery from an eating disorder that had happened less than a year before. So that was, a lot to deal with in and of itself, and it kind of spiraled into this depression for me, and it was really hard to come out of that. And I praise the Lord because somehow He, worked all the details together, and I was able to find freedom from that. And so I had the surgery, and it was the best decision I made. I remember I was so scared, and the night before I YouTubed what the surgery was going to be and watched them do the surgery. Definitely don't recommend that. But I had the surgery. I had a 12 level fusion, so I have two 18-inch titanium rods and 24 screws, which is a lot, but it made for a really good college essay. So I have all that metal, and my spine is straight. It's obviously not perfect, but it's just about as perfect as you can get, which is amazing. I think my final curves before surgery were close to 50. So I was on that cusp of not needing surgery. It was kind of in my court, and I just would rather get it now or then rather than later. So I'm so glad I did it. My pain is so much better, and just the fact that I can be straight and not all compressed and all my organs smushed together made it worth it. I know some people are scared to get the surgery because it is such a long and painful recovery, and it is. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's a very long recovery. I would say I was in the hospital for 5 days. It was very painful. I was on a morphine drip though, so that made it tolerable at least, but even with morphine, I still felt excruciating pain. So there's that. It's something you just got to deal with, and one of the things when you are on morphine, you don't necessarily remember much. So I do remember that pain, but I probably don't remember it to the extent that it would have been if I was fully, awake. So don't let that scare you. I know it's you're going to be in so much pain. Don't let it scare you. But seriously, you will be fine. You will be in great hands. And then I went home, and I was really in bed for a month. I didn't, I tried to walk at least once a day. My dad would go up to the corner with me, and I had a cane. You don't need a cane, but it was just to make sure, since I didn't have two people walking with me, that I didn't fall. So that was something we did. And then I would say maybe 6 weeks after surgery, I was really, feeling good. And definitely by fall, when school started again, I started to feel a lot more normal. So that was 3 months after I felt pretty normal. And you can't run for a year after surgery, just so that all those little screws and rods kind of fuse where they need to be, which was fine with me. I didn't have to run for a year. So I did that, and I would say a year after surgery, I was completely recovered on a x-ray standpoint of all the little bone fusions that were going on. But as far as how I felt and pain-wise, I'd say 3 to 4 months I was kind of back to myself. And it was so fun after surgery because I got 2 inches taller. So I kind of got to get new clothes, new pants, new tops. That was really fun. That's something to look forward to. If you're getting this surgery, you will most likely be taller. So, which was quite a bit of height for me because I was 5'4" and now I'm 5'6". So that's definitely a perk. And it makes you look a lot leaner in your torso, and you see, abs that you didn't know were there because you were all compressed before. So that's something to look forward to. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I'm leaving out. I kind of tried to go quick so that this video wouldn't be 45 minutes long. But yeah, so I definitely recommend, if, surgery is an option for you, go for it. It's made my life so much better. I don't pass out anymore either. So good thing I mentioned this. Once I had the surgery, my nerve wasn't getting compressed anymore. So I stopped passing out from the nerve getting compressed. So leading up to my surgery, we kind of knew that, sprinting triggers this nerve to be compressed, and then I pass out. So I stopped sprinting, stopped being in the wheelchair, and then had the surgery. And then after, even when I started running again, and I don't really run that much anymore, I kind of found other ways to work out. But once the surgery straightened my spine, got rid of that compression, I didn't pass out from that. And I think I've only passed out once since the surgery, and it's been almost 3 years. It's been a long time. But that time was from dehydration. So if you have vasovagal syncope, drink water, stay away from needles, and it's okay. It happens. People just they either gotta understand it or you don't need to talk to them is basically, I just gotta roll with it. But yeah, I hope you found this video helpful, and if you are in the same position that I was with scoliosis, please don't feel, insecure. I know it's so easy for me to say now, but looking back and even in pictures, it was unnoticeable that my, torso was all, jumbled together. So try to just think of it like you see these things so much bigger than other people see them, and you are beautiful. And if surgery is an option for you, I definitely recommend it. It is so worth it. And I'm praying for each of you, especially if you are struggling with scoliosis. And yeah, I hope you have a beautiful day. I love you, and I can't wait to see you in my next video. Bye!